Hello, y'all. I'm gonna be talking about the life and accomplishments of Frederick Douglass. Okay, so Frederick Douglass was born a slave in Talbot County, Maryland, around 1816 to 1818. He was separated from his mother while he was still an infant, and she died away from him around the time he was about 7 years old. When Douglass was 12, his owner's wife broke the law by teaching him some letters of the alphabet, and he succeeded to learn how to read and write from white children in the neighborhood from where he lived by observing uh observing the writing, like how the men he was working with. He observed their hand movements and learned how to write from the children in the neighborhood. Okay, whenever his owner whenever his owner discovered that he could read, he strongly disapproved, basically saying that if a slave can read, it would give them the thought that they could gain freedom. And at age of 15, Frederick was sent to a poor farmer who had the reputation of breaking slaves. And by this, it was meant just beating them, whipping them, punishing them so they have no will to live, no will to gain the freedom that they have the right of. And September 3rd, 1838, Douglass escaped slavery by boarding a train to Maryland, dressed in a sailor's uniform and carrying identification papers provided by a black free seaman. His escape eventually led him to New York, where the whole journey lasted less than 24 hours. He officially won his freedom when British British sympathizers paid his old owner, the person who legally owned him. They paid him off and bought his freedom for him, which is amazing. Okay. Douglass he joined many organizations like the Black Church. He regularly attended abolition meetings. He was inspired by William Lloyd Garrison, the publisher of The Liberator, an abolitionist newspaper. Douglass heard Garrison speak at a meeting of the Anti-Slavery Society, and he was unexpectedly asked to speak at one of these meetings where he told about his personal story, and that opened the door for him to become an anti-slavery lecturer. And he accomplished this just by the age of 23. He was acquainted with soon after this. He was acquainted with radical abolitionist John Brown, but he disapproved of Brown's plan to start a rebellion in the South, to start a rebellion amongst the slaves within the southern states. Brown visited Douglass's home 2 months before he led the raid on Harper's Ferry, which was a slave revolt that ended in many executions because they didn't have enough. There was little to no way for the slaves to realistically win in that fight, in that battle. Douglass met with Abraham Lincoln in 1863 on the treatment of black soldiers and President Andrew Jackson on the terms of black suffrage. Now, suffrage is the civil right to vote and the ability to exercise that right. So Douglass wanted equality for his people, so he and Lincoln worked together on building plans to liberating slaves out of the South once the Civil War was over. And the wars ended, Emancipation Proclamation, and Lincoln is assassinated, right? So Douglas is at Lincoln's memorial, his funeral service, and he is unexpectedly asked to to speak at it, to have a little speech, and without preparation, he gave what was called one of the most fantastic speeches of that time in tribute for the president, which he had so much respect for. And the people in that crowd, white and black, gave him a standing ovation and gave him, and with this, he built up so much more respect for his standard, his stature, his I can't think of the word. His person. He became well known around the nation because of the words that he would speak, his abilities to write, his abilities to move people's minds with his words and with his hands. Now in 1868, he supported the campaign of President Ulysses Grant, and he helped plan out and pursue the Klan Act. And if y'all don't know, the Ku Klux Klan is a very racist organization. Their main goal is to kill blacks, basically, in short. So the Klan Act was used to find these different KKK organizations and break them up, destroy them. And under Grant's leadership, the Klan Act was passed, and over 5,000 arrests were made. 5,000 arrests of Klan members were made, and that dealt a humongous blow to the power, the insane power that they have. The determination of President Grant's actions to start the disruption of the Klan made him very unpopular with his own kind, his own white people. But Frederick Douglass, he praised him extremely well by by helping out the black community. Now, later in his life, throughout all this, he had 5 kids. He was ordained a minister. His wife, he had 2 wives. His first wife, Anna Murray Douglas, died in 1882, and he married prior to the deaths. In 1884, he married Helen Pitts, who happened to be a white feminist in New York. Now, after marrying Miss Pitts, he died of a massive heart attack in his adopted hometown of Washington, D.C. He's buried in Mount Hope Cemetery in Rochester, New York.